we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for coming. My name is Becca Shaw. I'm a market research analyst at Sage Publishing, and I'll be moderating our Turn Left Here roadmap session today. So if you read our description, there's something of a road trip analogy. So you can think of me as your passenger navigator with a map, trying to make sure that we don't get lost and we stay on course. We organize this session because we know that every library has their successes and their struggles, and so with initiatives, and so we wanted to just share our experiences of them so that you can take back some lessons learned and emulate the things that worked and find your own successes at your libraries. So the session will be broken out into 3 different sections. So we'll start out by talking about the planning stage of the roadmap, and the implementation, and then finally maintaining the roadmap. So we have lots of interesting things to say. At the end, we'll have questions. But without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to Rachel Fleming. She is the Collections Initiatives Librarian at University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, and she will be charting the course for us.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry that there's not a mic, and I'm sorry that is really loud. I hope that you are excited about a roadmap theme, because otherwise you won't like my slides. So I'm going to get us started off by talking about charting the course, by talking about our adoption and implementation of Sage research methods, which was a particular success of mine and at our institution, and I hope that there's some lessons from that you'll be able to take home and apply to other initiatives at your institution. These maps are all of beautiful Chattanooga, Tennessee, from the USGS. So first off, getting your bearings, knowing where you are. So this is my house. Well, you don't know that, because you need local context to know where you are. So when the possibility of Sage Research Method came up, I was really excited because I thought it'd be a great resource for affordable courses, which is my project. So that's what I was excited about. It's where I live. But it's not just knowing where you live, it's knowing where's the top of the hill, where's the creek, is that in my backyard or not, knowing what's going on around you. So I looked around and I really saw some other good alignments, knowing about our growth in graduate programs, our desire to increase our research profile, and across the board, from research for faculty to research for undergraduates. And I thought, there's really a lot of good alignments with Sage research methods that I can bank on. I have to do this and then do this. So having decided to kind of go for it and pitch to my colleagues in my department and the library, say, I really want us to get this. I think this is going to be a good idea. I had to develop my case, or my cases. So over here in the library, we all think about a big spend and where is going to be the return on investment, where's the fit with curriculum, and I'm going to talk about affordable courses because we're real excited about that. That's something that we are going to see a big return on investment for our ideas. But up here in Founders Hall, where administration lives, they don't think about things quite the same as we do. So if I say affordable courses to them, they're going to like it, but it's not going to have the same impact as if I talk to them. I worked real hard on this, about supporting our increasing research profile as indicated by our placement in the brand new doctoral professionals universities R3 category, or about how we will support new interdisciplinary community engagement research projects with this methodology resource. So with them, I'm going to talk about new academic programs, strengthening existing programs, and about how it supports strategic initiatives that are in the goal, a strategic plan, which is our strategic plan goal number 1, transform lives through meaningful learning experiences. And then I'm going to not only add all of the library stuff that I talked about. So identifying obstacles, knowing how I'm going to approach this. I come across the river, and here is the budget. It's a not insubstantial barrier, so I want to figure out how to get around this. This is actually a huge metaphor. It's very good. So ideally, I'm going to be able to like cut right through here, right? You know, find a really easy path, and that is magical end of year money, right? Right? Because I really want to have ownership. But I'm committed to getting this resource, so I have to also kind of scope out what are the alternative plans. So alternative plan number one is to go around here, which is to get money from academic affairs through their budget process. They've got other one-time money. I have to be able to commit to that. So we did submit, give us one-time funding for this with a whole budget proposal the same way we would for new positions. This is a big spend. And then there's also the hard way, you know, you might have to go over the top. And that was working with Sage to see what other kind of pricing and payment options that we could develop. So I did have kind of like 3 tiers of how am I going to get this funded. Laying the groundwork. This is a Stringer's Ridge. These are little hiking paths, right? So just a little bit of path. So I wanted not just to get SRM. We did end up getting end of year money from the provost, and I think having submitted through the process, there was an awareness of something that we were into, that we were supporting, that we really wanted to get. We were able to get one-time money from non-library streams for it. So once I got it, I was really intent on having a really successful launch of a big new resource. So I was interested in talking to the faculty who would get really good use out of research methods, and I was like just really excited in general. And I wanted to get them together, which for research methods is very easy because they all, faculty who would be interested in this project, all teach classes called research methods. So they're easy to find, and they work at the Office of Research, the Office of Undergraduate Research, so I can find them, which I have to say is much more difficult for other types of products if you don't have a really good relationship with all of your faculty. So I found them. Oh, awesome.
4 minutes.
Oh, perfect. And then we brought Sage in, and I wanted to make sure that these folks who I thought would get a good use out of the product got a good training and a good introduction to the product. And this is where I get on my spiel. If you ever come to hear me talk about anything, this is what I say at every session. The way I got them to come to the training session was to go up to them and talk to them individually, invite them individually over email, follow up with them. And the reason that this works, you know, there's some people who are like, yeah, cool, I can come for a free lunch, absolutely. But other folks, they say, well, I'm not going to come with a free lunch, but they know that me personally, I'm invested in them knowing about this project. So I did actually have folks who never came to a session schedule time with me to do walkthroughs, and got a real interest because I'm sharing with them, this is going to be good for you, for this specific project that you're working on, and let me show it to you. So it was a real kind of retail sales approach to getting faculty knowing about it, and it is a lot of time and effort. I'm not going to play that down. That's what it takes, is building and banking on those relationships. And the sessions that I had with folks from Sage were the best attended faculty sessions I've ever had in my career of like 13 years. I've never seen so many faculty deans come to something that I planned, and I think it really was down to me doing personal appeals, me asking other librarians to do personal appeals and saying, you really need to know about this new product that we've got. But not everyone is a trailblazer. Here's a highway, right? It's a little bit different than the hiking path, right? So some people are willing to go down the hiking path. But some people, they're going to sit in their office, they're going to delete every email off the events listserv on campus. And we want to make things easy for them to buy in. So we don't want to just appeal to the early adopters. We want to be able to have other folks have an easy path to get to the same place. So that's why I focus also on making sure that my liaison librarians knew where research methods would fit in with their portfolios. And I had a couple of them really get into it and adopt it and make LibGuides, go out to department meetings where the departments wouldn't come to us. They were interested in having us come to them. And just being extremely excited and telling everyone that I saw, oh, did you know that we have this? And I still will, because especially with a specific kind of resource like research method, it's not something that you stumble onto. And it's really worked for us at all levels. When we had our implementation, among our peer schools, we are top 2 of usage immediately, and still, even after a year. So that implementation, I was floored by our usage numbers after. I had a faculty member, like I said, I work on affordable course materials. I had a faculty member come to the training session and then go home and email the bookstore and unselect his textbook. Like immediately, he hadn't even been to more than a viewing. He said, I am going to dive into this because I believe you, Rachel, what you're telling me that this is going to be useful, and I believe, having seen it from stage, that I can really work something out. Yeah, so that's me running through it. So putting all of this work in at the start, and it really was a lot of work. Again, I'm not going to play that down. Was a major, major impact on having a really successful start for our adoption of safe research methods. Let's see. I have another one. I think that might be it. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Our next presenter is Johan from UTC Library, who's the CEO and founder.
Yes, getting on the road with Lean Library. So I'm going to talk a little bit about implementing Lean Library within libraries and how we work with librarians on how to do that. But I did want to go into what Lean Library actually is, because it's quite a new product. And can I just get a quick show of hands? Who knows about Lean Library? Just few people, all right. What I'll tell you is Lean Library is a browser extension that kind of puts the library into the user's workflow, into the user browser. And it had its genesis, its origins at Utrecht University Library in the Netherlands. I'm from the Netherlands. You might have heard. Not a Native American. I was working there as a program manager without any library background. I'm not an educated librarian. I got a job at the Innovations and Development Department at the time. What I was doing at the time is really diving in, trying to figure out which issues patrons were running into, specifically when they were not starting at the library. And because I had no background, I really needed to dive in and drink lots of cups of coffee and have lengthy conversations just to hear from patrons what they were encountering. And I did learn that there's quite a few issues that people encounter when they're not starting out at the library, either at the library building or at the library website, or if they're off campus and they're trying to access resources. A few of those I'm going to quickly highlight just to get a sense of the issues that we're talking about. For instance, over here, if you are off campus and you open up this article, somebody might send you a link to this article on science when you open it up. sounds reasonable, but you run into quite a few issues. Does the library have a license for science map? How are you supposed to know? You need to be at the library website, you need to be at the HSF list to figure out whether your library has a license for Science Direct. At a certain point in time, most people will know, but at the same time, we had 700 databases at the University Library. Nobody knows what all of those 700, whether there's a license, and nobody's going to check for all of those 700. Go back to the library website and try to see. So you are either on or off campus, where maybe during your introductory course, your librarian told you always start at the library. Why? Because something with on or off campus, what's the difference? When am I off campus? If I'm at a coffee shop and I'm on the guest Wi-Fi, you are off campus from a library perspective. That's just really difficult to comprehend for patrons. So you need to go through a proxy. What is a proxy? I mean, what does it do? Why do I need to go through a proxy? I mean, if I'm in the library, things just work fine, and now I'm off campus, I need to go through a proxy. What is it? Another example, so if you land on Taylor and Francis and you are going to log in. So you just decide, well, I'm getting on the library, having a license on Taylor and Francis, and then you end up at the login screen and it says Shibboleth. No idea. OpenFS. Sounds good. Okay, let's do it. Log in your email address and your password. Do I fill in my university password? I shouldn't, because it's all just very difficult. And then, define out. You need to use the proxy. There's not even a button that says use the proxy. And again, of course, you might try to go through all this trouble, and maybe it is of no use because your library doesn't even have a license to this art. Even more, look at this article where the publisher says, sure, if you want to read this, just $47 for maybe 24 hours or so. Go ahead, and maybe your library has a license to this article on an aggregated platform. I mean, when I started working at the University Library, I just was flabbergasted. How is it possible that the exact same article is available on different platforms, and the library's got a license, but it doesn't have a license on this platform, whereas it does have a license? It's just really confusing. And what we see is that a lot of patrons, specifically researchers, will simply pay. I need this article. What do I need to do? I'll just use my department's budget. I'm just going to pay. While your library, the exact same library, might have a license to this article. It's just crazy. And just going to quickly show you what the linear library actually is, and this is just an example. So if you, in this case, what I'm going to show you is, if you land on one of those articles, I'm going to show you what it actually does. So here I'm typing in, or I'm selecting a link to an article, and again, it's the same one, $47. And here is the library popping up with a really nice pop-up. In this case, I've chosen Novozymes Library. It's a large pharmaceutical from Denmark. They're using a new library as well. And what it says is, I'm not sure if you can all read it, but it says, article available here. So the publisher says, sure, money. The library says, sure, just one click, and off you go. And this is one of the examples, one of the features that we have where we try to put services that the library provides into the patron's workflow, into the patron's plans. One of the other noteworthy things I think about this is the logo. So it's really clear to patrons that it's a service provided by the library. You can imagine that if you have IP-based authentication, where access is seamless on campus, people don't know that it's been provided by the library, and then they go off campus and they don't think about going through the library because they didn't understand that was provided by the library in the first place. So what we try to do is make it real clear to end users that it's a service provided by the library. And there's also contact details in the bottom, so if you have any questions, if you still don't understand, if there's anything else, then it becomes real easy to get in touch with the library, because the library is literally in your browser. I wanted to show you what Linear Library does in a real short time frame, and just give you kind of a sense of what it does. There's a whole range of other features, but you can see hopefully that it's quite a different product. It's not just on the database or just on the journal package. It's a different kind of beast. It's something that a lot of patrons aren't used to, and a lot of librarians aren't used to either. So what we try to focus on with the implementation process is really making sure that it's done the right way. We try to focus on transparency, so really clarifying what it is that we do and what it is that we expect from librarians to do to come to a real nice implementation. Flexibility. We're still learning on how to do this. We're still learning on what the product needs to be, but also how the product needs to be implemented. So if there's any requests from librarians, can we do this another way? Can we configure things differently? Can we do? Can we have a shift in the whole project planning? Of course, we're very flexible. Clear communication is also something that we try to focus on, really make clear where we are in the whole implementation project. And of course, we're trying to focus just really on getting things right. And with that, we really appreciate also feedback from librarians when we think we're doing the right thing, whereas we might have missed the mark. So we really appreciate the libraries telling us that things should be different so that we can improve on our processes. Another perspective on implementing Lean Library is that it's a technical product, so it needs a technical phase, it needs a minimal amount of interfacing with current library systems, proxy servers, knowledge bases. Those are usually the easiest things. We work on top of the existing library infrastructure, so it's quite straightforward to connect with those systems. The harder parts are communicating with end users, telling end users that, explaining to end users what kind of product this is, why it might be useful for them to start using it, and not just communicating with end users, but also communicating with colleagues. If you're implementing something completely new, something that people just don't understand, you do want to make sure that if patrons arrive at your reference desk with questions, that you do know how to answer those. Usually they don't, actually, but still, if they have any questions, you do want to make sure they know how to answer those. The tool that we use to make sure that we can focus on all of these factors is monday.com, and it's a really nice graphical, visual mechanism to take the implementation process, divide it up into very concrete steps, and have that real clarity on where we are in the implementation process. And what you can see over here is a whole overview of tiny steps, really tiny steps that need to be taken to come to a successful implementation of a library. Not all of these steps are applicable to any library, so we'll help pick out the steps that are necessary based on the features and the requests from the libraries themselves, and come to a real smooth trajectory of implementing the library. And I hope you can see that it's just a real nice graphical overview. I really appreciate that. I need to see that in the graphical form. And what we found is that librarians really appreciate this as well. It's a real clear overview of what needs to be done and where we are in the whole trajectory. Another one where we can just clearly show that there's color-coded steps needed to be done. You can see in this case the implementation is almost done, almost ready to just start communicating. And if we do things correctly, if the librarians do things correctly, then we end up with implementations like these. This is an implementation at the University of Manchester. I'll be doing a presentation together with Tim O'Neill from the University of Manchester later today, so if you want to know more, head over there. It's 2:30 at the Groundwork Center. And what you can see here, one of the really nice graphs, is a real nice uptake in usage of the library. There's a lot of quotes, really positive quotes that Tim is going to present in his presentation as well. But I just wanted to focus on what you can see here, which I think is proof of a real successful implementation of the library. Again, if there's any questions, just a 10-minute quick overview. If there's any questions, please do get in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, Johan. Our next speaker is Sandy, and she is going to maintain cruising speed. She's the Electronic Resources Librarian and an assistant professor
at Southern New Hampshire University.
Good morning, everyone. So maintaining cruising speed. And this slide in particular is to help keep me focused on what I want to tell you today. So this is the outcome of all the thought processes of many months. I've been speaking to the Associate Dean of the School of Business. I am also one of the business liaisons at Southern New Hampshire University. I work with Christopher Cooper, and we split up the liaison duties with different departments. The one focus that we wanted to do, or that I was taking with this, was we wanted business faculty to actually come to these lunch and learn trainings that we were going to do with SAGE. We had been buying a lot of SAGE product. One of our major focuses was getting the business cases. We were very interested in having the business cases. The videos also came up, so we were interested in the business videos. Then SAGE was also doing a push where they were selling and having a great deal on the videos as a whole core product. And we did jump on that deal as well. So there was a lot of business product here, and I needed to get business faculty into these trainings. And what was really great is that when you actually buy product with SAGE, they are right there the next day to tell you, oh, we can help you with training. So we were trying to figure out the best way to provide this training and get people interested. So I had spoken with our Associate Dean, Andrew Lynch, and we had at least 2 meetings, and then we also did a lot of work on email to really finally get down to the fact that to get business faculty to give up their time on their own research, teaching, spending time with students, having a competency-based training certificate that could be placed into their portfolio as professional development. Right? So when you get a faculty member and they're on tenure track and they're trying to raise their ranks, having that professional development also there is key. So what we did was we went to SAGE. Here it is, the actual email, and these are the relevant, I highlighted the relevant parts of the email there so you would have that. It's key. We wanted to have business faculty actually at the lunch, and the lunch was going to happen in the fall of 2018. So this was all the work around this was done in the summer. But how do you get competency around a platform, a publisher platform, no less, right? So what's key to recognize here is SAGE product itself. It is on a singular platform, although it has many different ways that you can link to it. So you can have a video link, you can have the knowledge base link for the ebooks, you can have the reference link for the reference ebooks, and all these wonderful links. But when it comes down to it, if you create and register, you create your own username and password on the platform, right? You get full usage on your full selection of SAGE product, whatever it may be. So you never have to leave SAGE product. This SAGE product works just as JSTOR does. I mean, I'm not going to just blow up SAGE here. JSTOR also, you go on JSTOR and you do a search, and it brings up ebooks. It's bringing up journal articles. It's bringing everything together in front of the student or the faculty member, telling them this all might be what you want to look at, right? And when they narrow, then they're going to really get into their search, and they're really going to start finding the things that they're looking for with their keywords. So with business, the business cases, the only way you can get at the business cases is if you actually register on the SAGE platform, competency, right? The understanding that you can only get at those interdisciplinary cases if you register on the platform. There is this one field that you have to fill in that is the number field for your account. And then once you place that password in there, into that field, you have access to the cases. So they've made it easy. It's not a hard step. All you have to do is register on the platform and know what that business case code is, and you just slip it in there one time, right? So that's what I asked for. I said, can we have a competency-based training certificate based around the competency of a business faculty member actually registering, putting in the business case codes, and then ta-da, they can get into any business case that they would want. And all they have to do is really just stay in the platform and do their research. So here you have a business expert, teaches, does research, is already competent in all the ways of business that they need to be. Why does it have to be more complicated than registering on a platform, putting in the business case codes, password, and just getting at their business cases? They don't need to do anything else to show competency. The easiest thing in the world. And they said yes. So what I will say is that I think a lot of vendors and publishers out there have really good platforms. The problem is you have several platforms. There are several publishers and vendors out there. So this is going to be kind of for the future, I believe. If you have a competency-based certificate, and if you're really well known for doing good platforms and having a variety of product where someone can go in and get a lot of information on their keywords all at once, they're going to stay with your platform, and they're going to want to be an expert in their platform, okay? Because they're going to know this is where it's at. So let me not get caught up in all of that. So we had our lunch and learn, and Heather Dre from Sage Fleming came, and she kept them captivated. We had a variety of different departments coming, and this was in the fall in September. We did a full-on Sage Business Workshop at our closure session. So that's also a session that happens at the end of the year during a week from Wednesday to the next Wednesday. That also includes our graduation weekend. So faculty are expected to stay on campus till that time, till that week is over. So up to closure, then they're gone for the summer. So at closure, so this is where faculty are going to be giving their own presentations here to other faculty and members of the college, but also they're going to be trying to learn themselves. So what we've been able to do, the library has been working with the Center for Teaching and Learning that actually presents these closure programs. And we now are a part of the committee. We have people on committee who do and are involved in this committee and in this whole process. So we are working and focusing on training. So this is maintaining the whole idea of you're going to have certain publishers coming to these closure sessions. So one of them is definitely Sage. They've been presenting since 2008 at our closure sessions. And then we also have a wine and cheese, which was very successful. You know, it's a great opportunity. We did have 50 people there. We were competing with the Center of Teaching and Learning Wine and Cheese, but to actually get 50 people at, you know, a nice collegial event was great. It was fantastic, and we all had a good time for sure. And then in the last closure session, I will say that there were 7 attendees, but I think where we fell short, and we did fall short, was we didn't present it as a business program. So that's where I think we kind of missed. We've been buying into the scholarly stats, and the data planet is now with Sage. So that was really nice because we also had Data Planet. So now we have a package deal with Data Planet and Scholarly Stats. So we are heavily invested in the Sage product, and Sage is also invested in us. And they were wonderful because they sponsored our undergraduate research day. So we gave Sage opportunity with our faculty, and it was brilliant. And it opened it up to also bring in Sage for the opportunity of working with our students. And it's even more beautiful because this year they are sponsoring our undergraduate research day again. So this is how you bring a vendor in and you keep it going and you maintain it. You create things around the product that you know are going to work. And I have to say this, when you go to a vendor or a publisher and you state your wants and needs as you need them, and they don't have to do anything except say yes to you, it's gonna work. So I think so I'll end it right there. And these are just my points on how to make it better. Advertising, of course, and then the fact that it wasn't a business certificate. I think that's why we didn't get too many people coming in. And then who am I? This is just me. And questions, because I think this is the most relevant part.
Does anyone have any questions? I actually have a question. Rachel, so it's a lot of demands on librarians. How did you find the time to invest so much time on one specific resource?
Right, I mean, I think a lot of us, think about a magic end of your money where you get maybe 4 new things. So how would you fit rolling out in a high intensity environment 4 entire projects? Right, that's what I want to say. It takes a lot of time to find people. Vendors will help you find the faculty who are a good fit for their product. And you have to talk to your administration and make sure that it's getting a good ROI is meaningful for them. So spending the time helps us get better numbers. It's not just throwing products out there, and if faculty don't discover them, they're useless. We have control over both sides, so, you know, making it a priority is what it takes.
I was gonna say that's a really interesting idea,
Yeah.
like make it really easy
Yeah.
that they can like, ooh, I got a little credit or something.
Absolutely.
That's really great.
Okay, I'm gonna ask the question because this was campus-based. How do you deal with this when you suddenly have a large online education component and the faculty aren't even anywhere close to your campus? I mean, it's just suddenly, that's probably gonna start happening more and more.
Okay, I think that's aimed at me. So what we did was we also went to the mill. So the mill is where SNHU Global is actually located, and that is our online division. And we do 2 trainings. So when we train on campus, there's an on-campus lunch, and when we train at the mill, there's training there too. So I always make it that the vendor can be there for 2 days, and the dates are within each other, a day of each other. So they're on 2 separate dates. So that gives the vendor time in both lands, you know, and it also allows for people who couldn't attend that meeting at the mill to also come to the campus and get that training there if they really want it, or the opposite way. So people who couldn't come to the campus, they can go to the mill too. It's hard on them because 2 different, one is downtown Manchester and one is a ways away.
Okay, what is the mill?
The mill is the actual building.
Okay,
Where,
what I'm talking about is that you've got a professor that's teaching for you that it's 1,000 miles away.
Well, the thing is, they're teaching the course, right? So all the material is already there. So what we're doing is we're training the people who are designing those courses.
I mean, I can add that, I'm at the Wall Street Journal, and we do a seminar series, and they can be customized. So we do 4 recorded sessions. They can either be live or recorded, all delivered online. And we do them for each semester. And so it reaches faculty to help on training how to bring Wall Street Journal content into their classroom. So I'm sure that a lot of vendors would think about delivering a series of trainings that were delivered online for you as well. It's totally
My approach to a diffuse professoriate would be also to take advantage of online training and to bring in something like Sandy talked about, because you're asking for time and effort that is not being rewarded a lot of the time because they're often adjunct faculty, or you have to give them something. They deserve it, and being able to find out what that is.
Yeah, and to add to that too, it's, we did go to the deans of the different schools and colleges, and they all agreed. So it was the library dean who went to the other deans and got the approval of those deans, and also the whole administration kind of agreed to that. So they all agreed that it would be something that could be used in the professional development. So when you get all the people involved in the structure and they all agree, it adds legitimacy to that. What I will say is, if you're going to, the way education is moving with the competency-based education and all those ideas and badging and things of that sort, for the vendors and publishers, this also, and even librarians at this point, if you can say that you're an expert anywhere on your resume and state that I have expertise in these platforms, it's saying a lot, right? And if you've done the training and you have a certificate, that's value added, that shows up on your resume. So I think even for students, when they can come out of college and they can say, I have these training certificates. I was just talking about this with a vendor yesterday. When they can come out and they say, I have this certificate-based competency certificate here that's saying that I'm an expert. For business, there is such thing as a Bloomberg certificate, and being Bloomberg trained, that's an expertise. So if they can say, I'm Intel trained, tell me that isn't going to open a door. If they can say I'm a Standard & Poor's Capital IQ expert, of course that's going to open doors. And they're just coming out into the marketplace. So to be able to give that to a student, because in the end, that's what all this education is doing. I mean, you're out there, you're training these students to go out into the real world and get a job and start their lives as what they want to be. So you want to give them all the pluses that they can have to really start their life. And if they start their life with debt, they need to pay that off. So they need to know that they're going to be able to get that job. And to say that you're an expert in all these platforms, that's opening the door for a lot more jobs out there for them to choose what they may want to do.
Johan, does Lead Library have a pop-up if the institution does not subscribe to the content, does not have a license for it?
You can. So it's actually a good question. So what we try to do is we try to help our patrons as much as possible. So if there's a licensed copy of an article, then we'll tell the patron it's available over here through your library. If there's an open access copy, then we'll point them that way as well. And also, if we know that there's no licensed copy, but also no open access copy available, then we can tell the end user, fill in a library request. Exactly. And because we will know the metadata of the article, we can also fill out those fields. So it's really about trying to help out the patron as much as possible, even when there's no direct immediate route to full text. It's still the library pointing you in a direction. Might take a little bit longer, but at least it's a route to full text.
Thank you all for doing this. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your conference. Thank you very much.